Action!
Let's go!
We've got an action episode today.
Really action. We've got actually a very exciting episode.
Yes. So today we are with Caroline from Lunedited.
Hi, Caroline.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, obviously, we've got the private jet sitting in the middle of the table. There is nothing that screams luxury more than a private jet and flying private. But can you just give us a little introduction about who you are, what you do, and who are Lunedited?
All right. So I'm Caroline, Caroline Cresp. I'm the managing director for the Lunedited Dubai.
Darling managing director.
Sorry.
Yes.
So Lunedited was founded
That's
in
a typical
2008.
female thing to say.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, don't say sorry.
Don't say
I'm
sorry.
proud of you.
I'm
Yeah,
not
you're
sorry.
sorry.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
damn good at what
Yes,
I do.
Exactly.
I've worked hard to get here, so
Yes.
no,
Yes.
definitely proud for it. Yeah.
Good.
So Lunedited was founded in 2008 by Emeric Segat and another
Lovely
silent
gentleman
partner.
who I spoke to. Yeah.
Exactly. Headquartered in Geneva, and over the last few years, it's literally exploded in a good sense, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
And as of today, we have 7 offices
Wow.
across
Oh,
the
wow.
world, and
Yeah.
actually Dubai is the first one outside of the world.
Europe.
Out of world.
Out of
It is another world, I have to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, it is
outside of
another
Europe.
Okay.
So outside of Europe, Dubai is the first office.
Why did you choose Dubai?
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
So naturally, over the years, the European market has been growing and maturing,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of influx of the people from the Middle East that fly in and out of Europe, and a lot of them would come from Dubai. Now everyone knows that Dubai is a booming business, and there is a huge amount of wealth in this region as well.
Yeah, and also what I found when I was working within government, the stats that we were getting is that Dubai is like the epicenter of a lot of places. So you get a lot of people from Africa, China, Asia that then travel on.
It's
to
a
different
nice,
places.
great hub.
Yeah, it's a
It's
great hub.
hub.
It is a really good hub. And so basically the business of Lunedited being the charter brokerage mainly, there is a huge demand for renting private jets here in the region.
Of course.
So yeah, that basically...
So how long have you been in Dubai? How long is the office set up?
The office was set up just over a year ago.
Okay.
Oh, it's a baby.
So yeah, still lots of exciting challenges ahead and lots of market shares for us to take as well.
To take, yeah. I mean, there are other companies here that I see that seem to have
Yeah.
a lot, and some of them have very bright signage everywhere along the streets.
Very
We're not going to
correct.
name anybody. So, can I just ask you? I mean, you've opened the regional office because you want to be able to service the clients, I think, easier, and also to take a greater market share. But you don't, I think you sell some jets, but really you're a charter.
So the focus initially, the company was set up with an app, funnily enough, to sell empty legs, which I'll come back onto later. But the idea was really to make private jet flying more affordable, so fly for less, basically. But it's a very restrictive part of the business that comes with a lot of requirements for the client. So it turned out quickly into brokerage, and there is a lot of demand for the private jet industry for people that are wealthy or corporations that need to travel quick and fast. So the core of the business is truly the private jet charters, but then we've also evolved into group charters, which is anything above 19 people. So we move football teams, musicians, DJs, weddings, you name it. So we have a lot of very interesting business there as well. And then over the years, what happened is that the clients who fly with us, let's say more than 200 or 300 hours per year, will actually start thinking naturally about owning their own.
Yeah, it's a very expensive thing to own.
The costs to run and own your own jet, isn't it easier?
The buying it is easy, right? It's, it's everything. It's the upkeep, it's the landing, it's the fees,
Isn't it easier just to be?
There's a very famous saying, right? If it flies or it floats or it Fs, then you never buy it. You always rent it. You know that saying. It's very. I mean, you know, I didn't say the word, but it's a very famous saying. If it floats or it flies, you never buy it.
Have you heard that before?
No,
I haven't.
Come on. Can you please Google that after we finish? Google it.
She's made it.
It's a very famous line.
It's extremely expensive to own an aircraft, but
At
at some point it makes sense to own one. That's the point, is that if you are like a corporation and that you want to own...
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That you make it a business tool, which is...
Yes, so I have I'm not going to say who, but a family member of mine that bought a plane, but also then rented it out.
Yeah,
to
you
pay
can
for the
do
cost.
that. Yeah,
You can do that.
Smart.
yeah. Back in the day in the States and in London when we used to travel a lot by private.
Yeah.
There was
always.
when I say we,
Yes.
I mean Simon Fuller and I,
Yes.
and the rest of the riffraff.
Yeah.
Was that there was also a lot of the jet companies offered like a timeshare, which is now I guess called, you were mentioning, membership.
It's the membership, right?
Yeah.
It's the time membership.
There's 3 different kinds of access into the private aviation. You can plainly own one, and that's pure 100%
That's for the
ownership.
billionaires.
But I just
Not
don't want the
necessarily.
headache.
Not necessarily. So you can own fully the aircraft. You can then have a timeshare or a card, which is technically a timeshare because you buy hours, so you become, in some cases, owner on paper of the aircraft, and then you can charter it. Now, again, depending on the volume of how much you fly, it actually makes sense for you to make that investment and to spend a lot of money, because you don't really earn money in private aviation,
of course,
on renting it. But
and then there's the charter, for instance. Now I remember being somewhere in London and someone saying to me, "Oh, we met a friend. I was with a friend and she has a pet."
Yep.
And they said, "Well," and then someone came to meet her.
No,
and they had a pet, and someone came to meet her, and she said, "Oh, Misha, I want to introduce you to so and so. You know, he's in the jet business, and so I can fly with my dog."
Yep.
And then he said to me, "Would you like to take membership in this and that?" I said, "Well, let me see what you have." And he showed me what.
If I can tell you something silly, if there was one reason, would be for family that can't travel or comfortable traveling, would be private jet and animals.
Yes, and the pet.
And also, it's huge.
It's huge, right?
It's really, really big, and I think people underestimate it. It's first of all, you can fly from where to where, but that is a given. For me, it's a given in private jets. So you fly from where you want to where you want, subject to rules, obviously. But the pets are part of your family. As much as I love my kids, and but I also love my pets, and I find it horrible to leave the pets behind. But it's just not as easy to travel with pets on commercial airlines nowadays. So when you can afford it, it actually makes sense to take them with you.
I'd like to do something if possible. So I would like for you to explain the process of flying private. There's a lot of people here that will never have flown private, that don't understand the perks or the
something that's
benefits
exceptional
about it. So could you just, in your own words, how does it start? From where do you start booking? How do you consider it even?
There's a lot. I mean, there's some people that want to have it for the experience. Like we've had people calling us saying, like, "Hey, I'm going to do my honeymoon in the Maldives. Can you help me doing this?" So that was like a one-off where they splurge on a honeymoon kind of flight. And there's ways of actually getting them cheap as a one-off. But if you really...
We'll leave that to the top 5 section in the end so that people can know that.
But if why you would like to look for a private jet, it's pretty convenience comes first, because let's say you want to fly from Alain to to London, or you want to fly from Muscat to some Edinburgh. There is no commercial plane that does that currently non-stop. So the convenience of you just going from Muscat, jump into an airplane, walk into an airplane, and then fly straight into...
But she's not giving us the small sectors in Europe that are very easily done, London to Cannes and stuff like that. She's taking us a big...
but take London to
she's a Dubai.
Exactly.
We mainly deal with the longer flights, right? But to your point, London Cannes, there's hardly any there's no operator that does it commercially. So for you to get that convenience of going to the airport and going from your point of departure that is as close as possible from your house to, let's say, Cannes, which is going to be your closest or your holiday destination if you're sitting on the Croisette there, or on the Palm Film Festival or wherever it is. So it's the convenience of getting you closer to where you want to get to at the end. But that's part of the entire experience. What also makes a huge difference is the time that you're saving, because on a commercial airliner, you have to rock up, an hour and a half, 2 hours before the flight departs?
At least,
And then you have to go through customs, and it's all very impersonal. You have a limitation on luggage, which with EasyJet could be 15 kilos, which you have to pay for, or with British Airways, it could be 30, 50, whatever. You have all these limitations, and it takes a lot of time. You have to be there at least an hour and a half before. Then you fly, and then you reach the other side where you have to go maybe through customs.
For your luggage,
beautiful
yeah.
breakfast. And
the best thing about flying private is when you land at your destination, that customs come on board for you.
It happens, yeah.
I mean, why we used to use private all the time is the company, not me and my husband, was because for ease, like for example, my boss or the artists that we used to manage were so busy, so they'd end from one concert or one like promotional thing to get to another. And also privacy.
Of course,
privacy is a big thing. Privacy for my boss himself or for the talent we managed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got countless stories about privacy and people actually enjoying the fact that they can go through an FBO instead of the airport terminal. I mean, imagine Ronaldo coming through the main terminal. It would be chaos in an airport, you know. But no, so
but it'd be fun for one day. One time he should.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's going
I don't
to
think
it.
I know,
But yeah, so time you save on average between an hour and a half, between 2 hours on any kind of sectors. At the end, you're welcomed sometimes by customs, sometimes not. You still have to go through, or customs might not be needed.
But it's also the choice of it. You get to go to much smaller airports than they.
And it really gets you. The point of private jets for me is about time and convenience, and the safety for me is a given. Every aircraft should be safe to fly, but it's really the safety, the privacy, and the time that you get, because time is money, especially when you work with business. And you said it earlier. It's about how many meetings can I squeeze in a day, and that you cannot do on a commercial airline. You cannot do London, Cannes, have a meeting in Cannes,
or even have a meeting on the plane. That's something else that used to happen.
Exactly.
Well, I think you close more deals like that.
You do, and you can talk freely. Like, even though if you sit in first class or in business, you cannot say as much as you do. And most of the aircraft nowadays come Wi-Fi connected, which is...
We should always travel private if we don't want anyone else.
You know where to go now.
Yeah, exactly. Caroline's going to help us out.
Where are you going to
So you would say that the ultimate luxury of flying private is the convenience, first and foremost, followed
convenience, time, safety.
Do you see? I would never have put. This is my one. I know many people that can fly private, and some of them really would not. They're scared of the 4-seaters, 6-seaters.
Yeah,
they're very
I was
scared.
going to say
they fear that safety. It doesn't. They feel that they don't have to go through exactly the same safety checks as, say, as a British Airways, you know, or an Emirates 888. So
some of our charges.
Yeah,
used to request certain planes,
sizes,
certain
of course,
sizes.
certain sizes, certain things. I mean, I once went on a really tiny one in the Caribbean. I think I prayed like. I said maybe 700 Hail Marys until I landed. It was too small for me. I wouldn't do it. Too much for me.
In America, it's a lot easier though, going from state to state. It's much. I think it's used.
It's more like buses there, though, isn't it? I mean, everybody just seems to jump on one. I don't know. And also, you know what I can't stand is like you get the influencers all standing on the steps of a small. I mean, people that fly private don't normally take a lot of pictures.
Because when I think of private, I think of discretion.
Yeah.
And then when we see all of this that you just mentioned, it's like jars with the.
It has a business mind as well for the followers.
Let's talk about cost. People will want to know, because there are some people, I know many people that can afford it, but they think they can't afford it. Again, it depends on how you look at it. Obviously buying a plane is a whole different thing, and that's a whole different concept. But say you want to take membership, like say you want to take a membership of say 200 hours or 100 hours, how much would that cost? Say you just want to buy seats on sectors sometimes, because some people, no, you don't do that, but some other companies have started doing that. But say you want to charter a jet with you. Can we go through the cost of that? Because I think this is that's what people want to know.
The aircraft you were talking about earlier, about like the small aircraft, so they can range between $2,000 up to $4,000 per hour. Yeah, but the price per hour is not really going to tell you much. You need to understand how it works in the background. So just to finish on that point, you can hire anything from $2,000 to $10,000 or $15,000, $20,000 per hour, right? But again, it depends on where you go and what you really need. So if you do a London to Cannes, it's going to be a very short flight.
Yeah.
Unless you have a large entourage flying with you,
Yeah.
I would be unprofessional to recommend that you fly on a BBJ, which is a huge, luxurious aircraft. Now, if you can afford it and you absolutely want it,
then of course,
not a problem.
Yeah.
But you can find the lighter jets, which will be super safe to fly. But it depends where you go. You know, if you're going to fly a London to Dubai, you don't want to sit on a four-seater because you're going to be hopping around, and that defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
So then you will be looking at the heavier aircraft. You're looking at the mid
and refueling as well. You don't.
It's not fun. You go up, you go down, you refuel. It takes about 45 minutes. Go up again, it defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't fly private to go hopping for fuel stops. It's a bit ridiculous. So normally to fly from Europe to here and vice versa, you'd need at least a heavy jet, like a Challenger or something that can fly and that can fit 10 people.
And that's
easily.
about 15 an hour?
No, much less.
Much, really?
Yeah, you sit around the $8,000 per hour. But here's the key.
Yeah.
An aircraft has an owner.
You have to pay for fuel extra, no? Or landing fees?
No, it's an all-in price.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, you need to look at as the industry. So you have around 24,000 jets worldwide. About a fourth of that is available for charters. Yeah. So you have owners that say, fine, let me offset some money. Yeah. Offset, not make. Yeah. Offset. So out of that fourth of the aircraft, so roughly 6,000 jets, most of them sit in the US and are available for charters, and the rest kicks around the rest of the world. Europe, Middle East, Asia a little bit, and in Australasia. So basically, you're left with a pool of aircraft that owners own in this region. Yeah. So for me, I'll talk about the Middle East. Here you have a predominance of large aircraft because one, they can afford it, and two, they need the range to go where they have their meetings in Africa, in Europe, in Asia.
And also the families when they travel.
Exactly, family and luggage here is huge.
Yeah.
Right? So here the smallest jet that I have, wish I could say that, that we have access to. So you have the smallest aircraft for a long time has been a Learjet. Now, for now, the smallest aircraft that we currently have is still a Learjet, but is medically configured, which we don't really use a lot. Yeah. Thanks God. But there is Challenger 605s, which can bring you easily to Europe in a one shot kind of thing. So, and then you'll be looking at, if you're lucky, you can get a one-way pricing, but that means that the operator has already sold the return or is okay to sell it. Because, like I said earlier, you have owners. There's always an owner, right? You have an aircraft, maybe a government, a corporation, or a private individual. Now, that private individual buys an aircraft to use it most of the time. So they want it to be based near where they live.
So it has to come back.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have what we call a base of an aircraft. So if you're going to fly, you say Caroline, tomorrow I want to go to,
London.
Yeah. London, you need 48 hours.
Yeah, okay.
But if you need to fly to, say, let's Paris, we can say, okay, there's an aircraft available in DWC, and within 6 hours, you can basically take off. Yeah. Obviously, you have permits and all of that. Yeah. But that owner might not want for you to, and if you come back in a week, it's not going to say like, okay, we'll leave it there with Misha for a week. He's going to say, well, maybe fly it back because I might need it during that week. So you're going to pay for your flight to go, but then the aircraft comes back empty. And that's where the concept of empty legs comes in. Yeah. Some people refer to it as dead legs, but I don't like that term. So empty legs or ferry legs.
You can sell those cheaper.
Exactly. And that's how Lunajet started initially, right? We were selling those legs.
Nice.
And basically, but what happens is that
very smart.
What happens is that you as a customer end up paying for the full round trip, because it will, if you go as a one way, the aircraft will drop you off, come back empty or sold with a cherry on the cake for the owner, right? Yeah. But on the other way, if it then needs to pick you up, it's gonna go again empty, again on the market, and then come back with you. So you would have, as an individual, paid for basically 2 round trips. And that's where it becomes expensive. And that's where the whole misconception in the industry is that it's very expensive. But because there's an owner behind, it's not, it's not a charity.
Yeah, it's not a charity.
So they're not going to give it to you for free.
And he needs to offset.
Exactly. So some cases we have operators that do like a hub to hub base where they say, okay, you want to fly to I don't know,
here to Riyadh or
you
something.
fly to Riyadh. Well, you cannot leave or fly back with other people from Riyadh, so he's going to reposition it to Dubai. So those sectors are predominantly empty, but it's still a cost to bear for the owner, right? So that's where it's not inaccessible to most of the people. Like we have a lot of clients that if they fly from here to London, the whole family flies first class. I would tell them, please pay maybe 10-15% more.
I was going to say, because that's why a lot of businesses anyway have their own jets, because if they're flying their top execs across the world, actually financially it makes more sense to have a jet.
I have to, and also because first class travel, these, I don't know what's happened to that, but it's huge. We're paying it's out of Oman as well, because Oman is not a hub for anything. When they seem to close all sectors. So when we fly first to anywhere, it goes to London, it goes to Paris, Oman Air. But for instance, if you want to go anywhere else, you have to do it via London or via Frankfurt.
That's the thing.
Or you just jump on an Emirates or something like that.
I wanted to ask you, because during COVID, actually my husband's company, they had a lot of team members stuck. And so they collaborated with other companies to bring through private jet, which was the only way to bring them back and bring them home.
I think COVID helped the private jet industry in a lot.
What kind of change do you think? Did you reassess anything business-wise? We talk about COVID.
I think there's a lot more people. I mean, during COVID, obviously, we flew a lot of people around the world because of the restrictions, because of the lack of commercial availability. But what it did, the effect that it did have on the market is that a lot of people actually realized, I can afford this. And having flown private myself, it's very hard to come back to first class. Because it's just very different.
we used to have a phrase where we used to say, we'll only turn right if it's private. Otherwise, we want to turn left.
But that's the thing, right? That's a very good one. But there's been a huge influx of people that became aware of private aviation and realized that it's not that expensive. And these clients are still there. They're still flying with us. Not as much as they would have during COVID, but they're still flying with us because they have appreciated the fact that it's not as expensive.
So now, if you were, as a client, forget that you were, managing director of, if you were to want to fly private and you're not a billionaire that owns your own jet or even a multimillionaire or a corporation, would you choose a membership over like just picking up and doing a charter? What would you do?
I think it depends where you are in the world. In the US, it's a very mature market. And there's so many aircraft and jet card providers. And there is a large choice of aircraft that you can
select from.
Exactly, that you can choose from. So, I don't like to say names, but there's one of the biggest ones down there that everyone probably knows. And you can buy a membership where you buy from a smaller Phantom 300, but you can have like a factor, but you become a fractional owner. So you're still going to pay, and then if you're going to use a bigger aircraft, it's going to be a factor of the price of what you have. So in the US, it makes sense because there is a huge market for the cards. Here in the Middle East, fractional ownership is not very popular, simply because the people don't like to share. It's part of the luxury, right? It's very hard to share a bag or share a luxury car. Why would you share your jets of all house, or your house? It's not. You don't really share an aircraft, and when you don't need to, why would you? So here, fractional ownership it's something that I think will come, and I hope it will, because it's
makes life easier.
Beautiful. But fractional ownership or even cards work for me in Europe and in the US, and I hope there's nobody that works for the big brands. But for me, I think that the cards, what happens basically with the cards is you pay a fixed rate per hour, which is great because it gives you the transparency and the visibility. You say, by 50 hours, but you actually don't. So a lot of the clauses, are in the terms and conditions.
Of course, because then if you need to fly for a longer period, you have to pay additional, or it comes out of your hours.
So basically, look at it as you pay for 50 hours.
Yeah.
You buy 50 hours. You as an individual will think that you can actually fly for 50 hours. It's not the case. Mm-hmm. Now you're paying, let's say on a heavy jet, the price will be between the $12,000 and $14,000 per hour. Mm-hmm. A card will be sold at around 16 to 18. So it's already a lot more expensive per the hour. But why they do it is because they only say that they charge you per flying hour, which is technically not correct, because there's a lot of very small prints in the T&Cs where you pay for your taxi time, for your peak time. If you don't book in the given time frame that they ask, then they charge you extra. So it's great because it gives you transparency, and CFOs love it because it's like, 50 hours, boom, and it's easy. You always get the same company, but you need to have an operator that has a huge fleet, that is not going to interchange the aircraft, and there's not many of them.
Do you have a lot of repeat clients for yourself? Do you find that people go between,
Yes, we have a lot of repeat clients because they've gone shopping around with the other brokers, and they've actually realized that we have a better service than the others have, because we know them, we do really take up. And I mean, probably everyone says that, right? But I think once you've experienced the LunaJet experience once, people do come back. They still would go around shopping because it's just
what people do, right?
Exactly.
But what is that thing that makes people come back?
It's the knowledge of the client.
Okay.
It's easy if you call me, Nez, and you say, Caroline, tomorrow I need to fly to Paris. And
she knows what you like to eat. She knows what you like on board.
And I know your kids. I know that you have allergies. I know that you like to be picked up in an S class and not in a E class. So I will we assign brokers to our clients so that they have a building of a relationship basically over time. And that really creates a bond, and it repeats.
So it's a bit like private clients.
Yeah, of course. It's all about, it's exactly the same.
In the luxury market.
Absolutely.
I mean, there is really, it is, as I said, now we wouldn't be very good at what we did if we don't ask you a question. It's obviously about the environment.
Yeah.
The amount of the, people that, just now there was the Super Bowl or something, and then apparently Taylor Swift was talking about environment, and then she jumps on 2 private jets.
There
was a whole thing about
Harry
and Meghan as well.
Meghan, traveling, being eco-warrior.
What are your stance on that? Do you have you can give us one line.
Overall, it's common knowledge that the emissions of private jets represent 0.2% of the worldwide emissions. The contribution of private jets to the overall international, maybe the luxury market or the business market, is huge. So for me, the impact, although it's there, yes, but I think it's more... I feel people have gained a lot of traction on it because it's become so expensive, during COVID. There's been a lot of jealousy. The people tend to easily point at it because for them it's not accessible, but they don't realize the impact that private jets can have on lives. I mean, we've sent private jets after earthquakes to send teams of doctors. Yeah. We've sent DJs on private jets, or Taylor Swift. Yeah. Cannot say, but there's a whole bunch of very famous people that fly around in private jets, but the impact that they have on the local economies is that much bigger. And okay, maybe people are going to say like, oh, it doesn't make it's
but
not.
How does it impact on the local?
So if you I don't know, you take some Ronaldo for instance. Okay, Ronaldo has his planes. Maybe not the best example, but take Ronaldo anyway. Yeah, Ronaldo is going to fly to a place like Muscat. Yeah.
Please, God, Ronaldo, listen, come to Muscat, please.
People will see that on social media, and it will gain a lot of traction for Muscat and for Oman and for the whole region. So people will flock there because it's this belonging. They have done the same thing as Ronaldo. Exactly. Yeah. And then you will see more bookings in hotels. You will see you'll see an uptake in tourism. You'll see an uptake in the airline industry, and that will all create in turn jobs. People will get there, and the government will need to issue more visas, and so it's this trickle down effect of the business that it generates. Now,
go on.
Yeah, so you touched on something as well earlier. say, for instance, there is a natural disaster, would you utilize jets free of charge to save people? Could you?
Governments do contact us
Government,
to send them. Unfortunately, we don't
you don't
provide jets free of charge because we are brokers. We put a demand and a need together. But when the earthquake was happening in Turkey last year, the first airplanes that go in are actually medical teams. Same when the war hit on 31st of August 2021. The last commercial airplane that went out of Afghanistan, Kabul, was a plane that we chartered for a client of ours to evacuate people. And it was literally the last plane that left. Wow. So it's, it has... See? It's not only the glam, the bold and beautiful kind of thing. Yeah, it's not only the corporation.
God, does anyone even remember that show?
The sports industry, it's huge. Like we fly fans around the world to go and follow the rugby, the nations, the Tour de France. We did the Dakar not long ago. So, a lot of people are talking private jets, but private jets are also those that are chartered, but the big ones, the 340s, the 330s, like big birds. So I
have a friend who's an interior designer. He does a lot of planes, actually. His name's Guy Oliver. He works in hotels.
Ali Bakhtiar did beautiful
planes. I was going to say, and one of our guests, Ali
Bakhtiar, he's done a lot of jets for people in the Middle East.
Do you see that as a trend, like people sort of picking up or pushing for certain things? You know how, like, a lot of the...
But I think if they go with their own designers, they're never going to charter that jet out.
That's a good point. Yeah. I've seen some very funky looking aircrafts over the year. I've seen the pink, fluffy craziness. I've seen blue aircraft. I've seen beautiful aircraft, white and black and grey. And
most beautiful aircraft you've seen?
Yeah. The most beautiful one
took your breath away.
You were like, wow.
It is a 767.
Can you tell us who it belongs to?
It's operated by Comlux. We refer to it as the Sky Lady.
The Sky Lady.
Next time we'll
beautiful.
film
we're gonna go on the Sky Lady. Yes, you book it, darling.
It's
you book
a beautiful aircraft. It's got a stateroom, it's 2 bedrooms, toilets, showers.
Yeah, that's
it's massive.
It'll do. We'll take it.
We'll take
it.
It's beautiful, and that's expensive to charter that airplane. Yeah. That one is expensive.
Yeah, but
But I mean, to come back to your question, I've been in real estate before, and selling real estate is like selling emotions. And in an airplane, when you buy an aircraft, you're buying emotions as well, right? So it's pretty much the same. If you have a house that you want to redecorate and really put your own touch to it, and I agree with you, you would probably not want someone else to come in and, have a cigarette in it or put his filthy shoes on the couch. But if you were to share the love and your appreciation of your beautiful work, that's possible, and there is some funky looking aircraft in the market, and people specifically ask for them.
Because which ones do they ask for the most?
The pink fluffy, definitely not. Please God, don't tell me anything pink or fluffy.
No, you have, I think
they should have rented that one for the Barbie movie or something.
True, very true, right? No, I mean, clients don't specifically request for a specific interior. Most of them, at least. Some of them are saying, like, I want to rent an aircraft that has never been smoked in.
I would want. But actually,
really
that's difficult because I think most people now fly private so that they can smoke in it. I was thinking the other day, do you remember when you used to fly and there was those little stupid ashtrays and people would,
and as if that last non-smoking seat was okay.
As we have people smoking shisha on board.
You do?
Yeah, of course.
Don't like that.
I know who that is. She knows who she is. She knows who she is.
What do you love most about your industry? Because I think the top 5 is coming out.
Yeah, very soon.
What do I like most about my industry? It's diversity.
Yeah.
We can help people that are in need with medical evacuations. It can be a flight for, I don't know, a honeymoon. It could be influencers. We talked about them earlier.
Please, they just go and borrow. There's a place, isn't there, in the Far East where they have a
simulator.
They have a simulator.
There's one in Dubai.
What, to go and take pictures in?
Absolutely.
We should do that for a laugh.
I'm not doing that.
It's fun.
I'd rather get on one of her jets.
We'll go together. together. It's actually really fun, and it moves as well. So you really get turbulence.
Can I fly it?
No,
I'm pretty sure that they would let you. Yeah, it's a simulator, so it's no risk.
No risk. Anything with her is a risk.
I look good with a pilot's hat.
I'm sure you do.
But the diversity, I reckon, I mean, it's really, I mean, you get the wealthy and the corporations, but that's a big chunk of the business. You get the more challenging medical evacuations, or people that have passed and I need to repatriate bodies, especially here in the Middle East, it happens a lot. But you move supporters and football teams, and so it's really it's huge, the variety of people that we deal with, and that's what I like most.
Yeah.
Well, I think for you, remember you put a question out which is saying, what is luxury to you? And I said to you at one time, luxury is for me, it's time, it's freedom. And I think nothing represents that more than having both of those, which is, being able to fly private at a whim and having the freedom to share. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
After that episode, I'm not sure anyone's going to want to fly commercial ever again. Anyway, it's my favorite segment, your favorite segment, the top 5 coming in next, where Caroline, the MD of Unedited, will be answering some questions, giving us a little insight. Let's see. It's going to be an expensive day.